I work the night shift at a gas station on the edge of town. It's the kind of place that doesn't even show up on Google Maps. You'd miss it if you blinked driving by. The building itself is small, cracked walls, and a buzzing neon sign that says open 24/7, even when it shouldn't be. And every night when I walk in, there's a list of rules waiting for me. At first I thought they were a joke, like some messed up hazing ritual from my boss. But last night, the rules changed. And I don't know if I'll live to see another sunrise. You probably think I'm exaggerating, so let me explain. On my very first shift, my manager, an older guy named Ron, handed me a laminated sheet of paper. It said in big bold letters, "Rules for surviving the night shift." I remember laughing, but Ron didn't laugh. He just stared at me, dead serious. And the rules, well, they went like this. Never look at the mirrors after midnight. If you hear knocking from the back freezer, don't open it. Customers who don't blink are not customers. Do not serve them. Between 2:13 a.m. and 2:17 a.m., the register will ring on its own. Ignore it. If a car pulls up with no headlights, lock yourself in the bathroom until it leaves. Always restock the coffee machine, even if no one drinks it, especially if no one drinks it. And finally, scrawled in red ink at the bottom, a rule I'll never forget. Do not let the station go dark. I thought it was bullshit. Some creepypasta come to life. But then the first night happened. Around 1:45 a.m., I heard the freezer knocking. 3 knocks. Slow, deliberate. I almost went to check, but then I remembered Rule 2. So I just stood there, frozen. The knocking went on for what felt like forever. Then it stopped. And when I walked past the freezer later, the glass door was fogged up and a handprint too large to be human was pressed against the inside. That was night 1. And every shift since then, the rules proved themselves. The blinking customers, the ringing register, even the headlights rule. One night a car pulled up, engine idling, but its lights were completely off. I locked myself in the bathroom like the rules said. I heard the door open, footsteps, breathing, and when I came out 30 minutes later, there were wet footprints on the tile, leading right up to the bathroom door. So yeah, I started following the rules, religiously. But last night, terrified, the rules weren't the same. When I clocked in, the sheet of rules was waiting by the register as usual. But something was wrong. Rule No. 1 had changed. It no longer said never look at the mirrors after midnight. It now read, Rule No. 1, never look at the mirrors before midnight. At first I thought maybe Ron updated them, but when I asked, he just frowned. He told me he didn't change anything. His voice cracked when he said it. That's when I realized something terrifying. The rules weren't being written by Ron. They were being written by the station itself. Last night was different. Last night I saw things I wasn't supposed to see. And if you'll stick with me, I'll tell you exactly what happened. But I can't promise you'll want to hear it. And I can't promise you'll sleep again after you do. Then shift to story mode. The shift started quietly. The neon sign buzzed like it always did, a faint hum filling the silence, but something felt heavier, like the air itself was pressing down on me. I kept staring at the rules sheet. Never look at the mirrors before midnight. That meant for the first hour of my shift, I couldn't even glance at my reflection. Not in the bathroom, not in the cooler doors, not even in the glass of the register. It doesn't sound that bad until you realize how many reflective surfaces surround you when you're alone. And every time I accidentally caught a glimpse, I swore I saw movement behind me. At 11:23 p.m., the bell above the door jingled. A woman walked in. Something about her was off right away. She moved stiffly, like her limbs didn't fit right. Her eyes wide, glassy, and she didn't blink. Not once. I remembered Rule 3. Customers who don't blink are not customers. Do not serve them. So I froze behind the counter, pretending to organize receipts. She walked straight up to me, and without moving her lips, I heard her voice in my head. Do you have coffee? I swallowed hard, didn't look up, didn't answer. She tilted her head in this unnatural jerking motion and then slowly walked over to the coffee machine. The machine hissed, refilling itself, even though I hadn't touched it yet that night. She picked up an empty cup. The machine poured, but nothing came out. She turned, and for the first time she blinked, but not like a human blink. It was sideways, like a lizard. And then she was gone. No footsteps, no door chime, just gone. By midnight, the rule about mirrors finally allowed me to look. So I went to the bathroom, splashed some water on my face, and looked up. My reflection wasn't moving. It stood there staring back at me, breathing just a fraction out of sync. When I raised my hand, it raised its a moment later, like it was lagging, and then its lips moved. "Don't open the freezer tonight." I stumbled back, heart pounding, and when I looked again, my reflection was normal, breathing in time, copying me perfectly. But the message was burned into my head. "Don't open the freezer tonight." At 2:14 a.m. sharp, the register dinged by itself, just like the rules warned. But this time, something slipped out with the sound. It wasn't a ding, it was a voice, distorted and metallic. I couldn't make out the words, but I swear it called my name. Ryan. My chest went cold. I've never told Ron my real name. He only knows me as Kid, so how the hell did the register know it? I unplugged the machine, but it kept ringing, over and over. I couldn't take it anymore. I shoved the register to the floor. The second it hit the tiles, the freezer door clicked open. Terrified, the freezer door creaked, ice mist rolling across the floor. I grabbed the broom like it was a weapon, my hands shaking, and then I heard it, not knocking this time, breathing, slow, heavy, wet. A shape moved in the mist, too tall, too broad. Its head scraped the top of the freezer, and then a hand slid into view, the same oversized hand I saw on the glass weeks ago. Skin grayish, fingers too long, nails like chipped stone. It didn't step out fully. It just stayed in the doorway, crouched, waiting, and then it spoke, deep, distorted voice. "Rule 6 is for me." The coffee machine hissed from across the room, refilling itself, bubbling, steaming, and I realized the coffee wasn't for customers. It was for whatever lived in that freezer. I didn't wait to see more. I shoved the freezer door closed and jammed the broom through the handle, but before I could move away, the thing pressed its face against the glass, and I'll never forget it. Empty sockets where eyes should be, a jaw unhinged too wide, and in the fog of its breath, it wrote 3 words with its finger. "Rules are changing." At 3:02 a.m. I heard the rumble of an engine outside. My blood ran cold. Through the window I saw it, a black sedan idling with no headlights. I bolted to the bathroom, slammed the door and locked it, sat there in the dark holding my breath. At first, just silence, then the door chime, footsteps, slow, deliberate. The steps dragged across the tile, stopping just outside the bathroom. Something slid under the door, not a note, not paper, but something wet, thick, dark, blood. I covered my mouth to stop myself from screaming. The footsteps paced, stopped, paced again, then silence. When I finally opened the door 20 minutes later, the store was empty, but smeared across the bathroom door in crimson streaks were the words, "Don't trust the rules." Breathing heavy, that's when I understood. The rules weren't protecting me anymore, they were testing me. The freezer, the mirror, the headlights, all of it felt deliberate, like something wanted to see how far I'd go to survive. And last night I went too far because I broke a rule. I didn't mean to break the rule, it just happened. By 3:30 a.m. I was so paranoid I couldn't sit still. The buzzing neon, the hum of the coolers, the creak of every shifting floorboard, it felt like the entire station was alive. And then it started again. The freezer knocking. But this time it wasn't slow, it was frantic, desperate. I tried to ignore it, God knows I tried. But then, a voice whispered from inside. It wasn't the deep, distorted one from before, it was my own voice. "Please let me out." I stumbled back, nearly tripping over the mop bucket. That's when I saw the bathroom door was open just a crack. I swear I closed it earlier. I walked in, my pulse hammering, and looked in the mirror. My reflection was grinning. I wasn't. It raised a finger to its lips, shone, and mouthed the words, "Break Rule 2." I shook my head. "No," I whispered. But my reflection's grin widened. It leaned closer, pressed its hand flat against the glass, and suddenly I felt pressure against my side of the mirror, like something was pushing through. I bolted out of the bathroom, slamming the door, but the knocking from the freezer grew louder, and this time it wasn't just one voice, it was dozens, hundreds, all whispering in unison. "Let us out, let us out, let us out." I couldn't take it. The whispers burrowed into my skull. Every syllable felt like claws scraping at my brain. I grabbed the broom wedged in the freezer door and yanked it free. The door swung open. Mist poured out, thicker than before, rolling across the floor in waves, and from the darkness inside, hands, dozens of them, clawing, reaching, grabbing. They pulled themselves out, figures pale and gaunt, eyes hollow, jaws snapping open and shut like broken dolls. I stumbled back, swinging the broom like it could do anything. That's when I realized they weren't trying to hurt me. They were crawling past me, scrambling toward the front of the store, and one by one they melted into the shelves, into the walls, into the ceiling, like the station itself was swallowing them whole. The freezer was empty, silent, except for one last voice that whispered, "Now you're part of it." At 4:12 a.m., the bell above the door jingled. But this time, it never stopped. It kept ringing, over and over, like the door was opening and closing on repeat. And with each chime, more customers appeared. The woman who didn't blink, a man with no face, a child dragging a stuffed rabbit soaked in something dark. They filled the aisles, silent, staring. I backed against the counter, my hands shaking. "Ron," I yelled, but Ron wasn't there. The customers moved in unison, heads snapping toward me. And then, in perfect harmony, they spoke. "Follow the rules." I looked at the counter. The rules sheet was still there, but the ink was shifting, letters twisting and reshaping themselves. Rule 7 had appeared at the bottom. It read, "If you break a rule, you must replace it with one of your own." I stared, chest heaving. My mind raced. If I didn't make a new rule, I had no doubt the station would swallow me like it swallowed those things. So I grabbed the pen from the register. My hand shook as I wrote, "Rule 8, never trust the reflections." The second I finished writing, the customers vanished. The bell stopped ringing. The silence was deafening. But the mirrors, every single reflective surface in the store, now they were all grinning at me. At 5:45 a.m., just before dawn, the door creaked open. Ron walked in like nothing was wrong, coffee in hand, yawning. I stumbled toward him, shaking. "Ron, what the hell is happening here?" But Ron just looked at me, and for the first time since I met him, he smiled. Not a kind smile, not a tired one, a knowing one. "Kid, you made it further than most." He picked up the rules sheet, looked at Rule 8, nodded. "Not bad, but they'll want more from you tomorrow." I grabbed his arm. "What do you mean they? Who's writing these rules?" Ron's smile didn't fade. "They are. The station. The ones behind the glass. Same thing, really." I shook my head, backing away. "No, I'm done. I quit." Ron chuckled. "Kid, you don't quit the station. You survive it, or you don't." And then he walked into the back office and never came out again. The sun started to rise, faint lights spilling through the windows. For a moment, I thought maybe I was safe. Maybe daylight would burn all of this away. But then I caught my reflection in the register glass. It wasn't moving again. It leaned forward, eyes black and bottomless, and whispered, "See you tonight." And then it smiled, a smile too wide, too sharp. I didn't go home after my shift. I couldn't. I sat in my car, hands gripping the wheel, staring at the gas station in the rearview mirror. It looked normal, boring even, but I knew better. Inside those walls, the rules were waiting, changing, breathing. I thought about burning it down, striking a match, walking away. But deep down I knew it wouldn't matter. The station isn't just a building, it's something older, something that feeds. My phone buzzed around 9 a.m., unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. The voice on the other end was distorted, mechanical, like it was being filtered through 100 radios at once. You broke a rule. I froze. Who is this? You replaced it. That makes you one of us now. I hung up immediately, heart pounding. But my phone buzzed again, and again, and again. Each time the same message appeared on the screen. Follow the rules. I finally passed out around noon, and that's when the dream started. I was standing in the station, but it wasn't empty. Every aisle was filled with mirrors, thousands of them stacked floor to ceiling. And in every reflection, me, but not quite. Some versions of me were burned, others were rotting, some were smiling too wide, some were screaming. They all spoke in unison, write the rules, or be replaced. When I dragged myself back for the next shift, I swear I didn't want to. The sheet of rules was waiting, but this time, there were no instructions, just a blank page. The pen was waiting beside it, and written at the top, in fresh black ink, your turn. I'm not the one following the rules anymore. I'm the one writing them. Right now, as I speak these words, the pen is still in my hand. The lights are flickering, and I know, if I don't write something soon, the station will take me. But every rule I add, it doesn't just control me, it controls the next poor bastard who takes this job. And that's the worst part, because I'm not sure which is worse, dying in here or dooming someone else to take my place. I just wrote Rule 9. It says, never ever listen to the voice telling this story. Which means, if you've heard everything I've just said, if you've listened this far, you've already broken it. The lights just went out. The station is pitch black, and in the dark, the mirrors are everywhere, whispering, laughing, waiting. I don't think I'll make it to morning, but if I don't, then you should know, the rules won't stay here. They'll find you. They always do. And when they do, just pray you can follow them better than I did.